Good morning, y'all. What's going on? Hopefully, you having a good day. It's starting off good for you. Starting off pretty decent for me. So, the title, Materialism. So, I just wanted to look it up because I guess we all think we know, what materialism is. Have pretty much an idea of what the definition is. So, well, let me read this one. It says, "When our love for things becomes so strong that we're willing to sin in order to gain and keep things." And refuse to share with other people, or when we become ruthless to gain more things. So that's, because I understand some of us aren't, as religious. So, but that's from Colossians 3:5. So real quick, because we're in our this is part three of our addiction series. From my perspective, just once again growing up as a guy in the inner city. So one thing that was always cool, and a lot of people from the era will understand this. Even still now, still a good feeling. But it used to be a good feeling when on Saturday, you knew your mom had just got paid because you know how it is. Even sometimes our kids now know exactly when our pay dates are, right? So you know what, I'm gonna chill. I'm just gonna ask. I'm gonna wait until because I know she may get paid on Thursday or Friday. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna wait, because Saturday. I mean, like who can go get sneakers, Thursday or Friday, right? So Saturday was the day, right? So like how they got these Jordan Saturdays and all that stuff. Saturday was the day. It's like, listen, all right, and back then you would really just get sneakers like the beginning of school, school year, maybe in the middle of the school year, hopefully sometime like for their Christmas and Easter, right? But as you got older, you maybe had a little job or whatever, you start getting, a couple more dollars, or you know how to hold on to your money, and then you will go down to the sneaker store. So for us, it was either going to this place called Samson's on 52nd Street, or some other people would go to Giant on Lancaster Ave. The deal is, it was such a good feeling. It was like a rites of passage for a kid to get new sneakers, especially boys, right? Because that way you can come home, you can show them off. Now, I had some friends, what they would do is that they would get their sneakers and they put them on and they wear them and they tell the dude, hey, look, put the sneakers I just had on in a box and then walk out with the box. I could never do that. I had to bring the fresh sneaks home. I had to do it, right? So, that goes on for years and years and years. And you start to realize and you think to yourself, wow, am I still doing the same stuff I used to do back when I was a kid? Am I still overly paying for stuff or buying stuff that in essence I probably really don't need? Yeah, and I guess we all do. So let me give you a for instance. So Jordans, right? Because everybody loves Jordans, right? I know it's going to be some people out there saying I ain't never had a pair of Jordans, and that's fine too. But let me just give you this fact real quick. It says in 2023, Nike made $51.36 billion dollars. All right. And out of that, um, the Jordan brand, just by itself, but it's included in the total, made over $6 billion. Dollars, right. Now, in 2024, Nike had a sales decline. Okay. So that sales decline went from $51.36 billion dollars down to $47.81 billion dollars. So, you say to yourself, that's a little less than a $4 billion loss, but, to them and for sales, it means a lot. What do you think was about the Jordan brand? Do you think the Jordan brand went down under the 6 billion or a little over 6 billion that it made, or do you think it went up? Well, I'll tell you, for 2024, the Jordan brand went up. So it went up to $6.59 billion, right? So it just lets you know that people are still enamored with Jordan. But even with Jordan and a lot of other brands, because the market is so saturated with so much stuff, and people, because there's only so many different colorways that you can think of. There's only a certain amount of styles and different things that you can reinvent and twist around. So this is the reason why. And also, too, you have a lot of other brands that compete with Nike. So you got Hoda, you got New Balance has made a comeback. You have a lot of sneakers that have made a comeback. But that's not the whole point of this. Just trying to give a correlation as to when you think about materialism, especially in its biggest form. The reason why I bring up Nike is because Nike, everybody has had a pair of Nikes. Everybody right now probably still has multiple pairs of Nikes, right? And a lot of the stuff we probably what? Probably don't need, right? And me, I've suffered for years, and it's almost a thing of trying to train yourself out of it. Suffered for years buying things that I might not necessarily need. Like, let me give you for instance, right? So, you know, um, and it becomes stupid. So I was going to a party. Shout out to my man Bobby Blue Man, Bobby on the gram. So we go out several times a year, whatever. So I wanted something hot to wear. So I go out. So I look on Neiman Marcus, and I say, hey, look, let me grab these, right? Pretty good looking sneakers. At first, I thought they were ugliest things I ever seen in my life. Shout out to my man Sid back at Belmont, one of the first ones I know to rock these with scrubs. I know, player, right? So, and back then when they first came out, they were around $1,000, I think. So now I got these on sale, full disclosure, at Neiman's for, I think I paid like $750 for these, something like that. Right, which is still ridiculous, right? So I paid about $750 for these. And as you can see, look at that. Look at that. Still haven't even worn them, right? Still haven't even worn them. Wound up going with something I already had in my closet, but because I didn't want to take it back, because it's a Balenciaga, and I just had to have it. So, like I said, those are about 3 years old, right? So here it is. I've wasted over $700 on a pair of sneakers from 3 years ago that I haven't even worn. Real smart, right? But I'm sure, because it happens. It happens to all of us. And those are just at some of the clothing higher stupid levels of consumerism or materialism, right? But now another part of materialism is that they found, I call it the Walmart way. They found a way to get us to spend stuff, just a little bit here, a little bit here. Because let's face it, most people aren't buying. And I think these sneakers are now back up to $1,000. I think they're actually $1,200 now or $1,100 on Balenciaga. So most of us don't buy that stuff, right? It's still a select few. But now they found the Walmart way, which I used to like Walmart a lot. I was just in there the other day. But what they found a way is to, as opposed to saying $20, they say 1984. And we all know those kind of tricks psychologically, they play a game on you. Yo, you mean to tell me? So all right, I came in here with $60. I can get that for less than 20. Then I still got $40 to do other stuff, right? So it's also a part of the Amazon effect. Like think about how many of you have, whether it's your wife, your girlfriend, or whether it's you, or your boyfriend, and it's just always Amazon packages coming to the house, right? And so you're thinking to yourself, well, you know what? It's not that much. It's only $15. This is only $16.50. This is only such and such and such and such. And then you start thinking to yourself, like, dang, like when you start looking at it, because Amazon does a good job of giving you a breakdown, they'll show you how much you spent or how much you've ordered, and you could have saved this much in shipping if you would have had Amazon Prime. And at one point I did have Amazon Prime. And then what was happening was the Amazon Prime was getting higher and higher and higher. So let me get this straight, because they throw us a little streaming stuff in there, football games, a couple movies. So let me get this straight. I'm paying you 100, and I think by the time I canceled the membership, I'm paying you $129 for you to send me the stuff that I buy from you faster. That's like saying, let me get a drug dealer gas money to get here, right? Does it really make sense? No. But every day we get caught up in it. We get caught up in it, and it's just a lot of times a lot of useless goods. And I know some people will say, well, that would be more consumerism. And you're right, it is. But it's still the consumption of materials. It's still the consumption of things that a lot of times, we may not even need, but because it's cheaper or it appears to be cheaper and everything, it'll just kind of lump itself all together. But what it does is that it still has us surrounded with a bunch of goods. Now, it's not to say that, we still don't go out and buy stuff and have ourselves a good time, right? Or try to, get stuff to make us look nice or look better in our estimation. But the thing is that how many times do we sit back and stop and think about it and say, wow, you know what? I got a closet full of stuff and I don't even wear it. Now, I know sometimes that's more of an issue with the ladies, less times with the guys. But think about it. Like even me, I find myself have to, bag my stuff up and try to take it to the Goodwill. Shout out cousin Kev. And trying to get all this stuff together because what happens is that I'm sitting and I got like sneaker boxes, shoe boxes, stuff like piled up, right? And what it is that, but guess what I'm still doing sometimes? Guess what I still find myself doing? Still find myself looking online for other stuff. Now, what I've done is that I've learned how to temper it back and not be so impulsive as far as buying stuff. And also, too, when you have kids and different things, those things become more important. And, if you have a loss of income, if you have certain things financially that may have happened that now hold you back from doing certain things, and then hopefully you don't do dumb stuff like I've done in the past, like put it on a credit card or anything like that. But really taking the time to look and say, wow, do I need all of this stuff? And where did all of this start? Did it really all start because a bunch of the homies and we always wanted to have sneakers. We always wanted to have like cool stuff. I remember like Ray only ever wore Air Forces. Well, I'm sorry, Nikes, just Nikes, right? And speaking of Air Forces, like Air Force is now like $110, right? In most places. So, but the thing is that does it ever stop? Does it ever get to a point where you feel like, you know what? I don't really need that other Gucci belt. I don't really need a Louis Vuitton purse or whatever. And maybe it doesn't. And hey, like Lil Wayne said, it ain't tricking if you got it, right? So if your money is right and you want to get it, buy whatever, go for it. But just let's make sure that we remember that there's other things, especially as we all get older, because if like you, my 401ks took a hit over all of this tariff stuff, right? But whatever. But, as you get older and as you think about some stuff, do you want to ask yourself a couple of questions? Is it time for me to clear out some of this stuff? Like, do I need to have like an old fashioned yard sale or something? Or, like with eBay, I give people some more game. I post stuff on eBay, right? So some of the sneakers that I know I won't wear again, that just don't work for me anymore. So I just post them on eBay, so just doing little things like that to kind of clear out some of the clutter and still possibly maintain or recoup some of that money that you spent out. So I want you to think about it. Like, are you materialistic? Or do you just bury it in the way of saying, I just need more stuff, or I just need this, or I just need that? Because I'm telling you, growing up in the inner city, that's what you're judged by. You're judged by what you got on. You're judged by what you drive. You're judged by how many girls you have, right? You're judged by this. For the ladies, you're judged by what type of guy you date. You're judged by what kind of or how much money does this guy make, right? You're judged by what type of car this guy drives, which in essence, as we all get older, seems pretty damn stupid, right? But hey, when you're a kid coming up in it, you don't know any better, right? You don't know any better. All you know is what you see. When guys pull up, Benz, back in the day, Lexus, all this other kind of stuff, and they're only 19, 20 years old, when you looking up at 15, 14 years old, like, wow, that's really what it is. Until as you get older, you realize it ain't. But hey, until next time, live life. Don't let life live you.